So what is it that really separates you from the person who's living the life you dream about? Is it talent? Connections? Dumb luck? Well, let's dive into this because the answer is actually a lot simpler and way more powerful than you might think. It all boils down to this one single idea. They believed they could do it before they had any proof whatsoever. That's really it. That's the fundamental difference. It's a belief that doesn't wait for evidence. It's a belief that goes out and creates the evidence. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but just stick with me here.
So you might be thinking, okay, isn't that just being delusional? I mean, that's a word society loves to throw around, right? A way to tell you to be a little more realistic. But you know what? Let's take a look at some of the people who were called exactly that.
I mean, just think about this for a second. These weren't just empty words. We're talking about a young Kobe Bryant, long before he was a legend, telling anyone who had listened that he was going to beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. Or Muhammad Ali, literally crowning himself the greatest before he had a single world title to his name. These guys were operating on a level of self-belief that just completely defied the reality they were living in at the time.
Okay, so if that's the secret sauce, why is it so dang hard for the rest of us? Well, the answer isn't that there's something wrong with you. It's actually a feature, not a bug, of your brain's basic wiring. Let's talk about your brain's survival trap.
So you have to understand this. Your brain's number one priority is not to make you happy, it's not to make you successful, its only job is to keep you alive. It's a survival machine, and that means it's constantly scanning the horizon for what could go wrong, not for what could go right. So here's what's happening inside your head. The second you think about going after a big goal, starting that business, posting that first video, taking any kind of big risk, your brain's internal alarm system starts blaring. It flags all the danger, all the uncertainty, all the potential for failure. And it's not doing this to crush your dreams. It's doing it to protect you from what it sees as a threat. That right there, that universal human instinct, is the single biggest obstacle you will ever have to overcome.
But here's the really good news. You are not a slave to that instinct. You can actually consciously reprogram it. And we're going to do that with something I call the action belief formula. This is how you take that so-called delusion and you turn it into your single greatest asset. First, though, we have to get really clear on something. There are two kinds of delusion out there. On one hand, you've got the person who genuinely thinks they're going to become a billionaire just by scrolling on their phone all day. That's a passive fantasy. And you know what? It leads to absolutely nothing. But then, on the other hand, you have delusional confidence. That's believing you can build something that everyone else tells you is completely impossible. And that leads to everything you want in life.
And this is where it all clicks into place. Belief by itself is not enough. The magic is in the formula. You need an impossibly big, delusional belief, and you have to pair it with obsessive, relentless action. You can't just sit around and wish for it. You have to work like your life depends on proving your own crazy belief right.
When you do this, you create what's known as the inevitability mindset. It's a simple two-step process. First, you convince yourself deep down that this impossible thing is actually achievable. Then second, you work with such a ferocious intensity that it becoming real is, well, it's inevitable. You're not hoping it happens anymore. You are simply closing the time gap until it does.
Okay, so you're putting this into practice. How in the world do you know if it's actually working? Because the feedback you're going to get isn't going to be a bunch of high fives or instant success. In fact, it's usually the complete opposite.
These are the real signs of progress. You're going to feel like a fraud at first. You know what that feeling is? That's you stepping outside your comfort zone. People are going to look at you like you're nuts when you tell them your goals. Good. That means your goal is actually big enough. And yeah, you're going to work tirelessly with almost nothing to show for it for months, maybe even years. These are not signs that you're failing. They are the price of admission for doing something that actually matters.
And here's the real secret, the thing most people miss. Success isn't always about being the most talented person in the room. It's not about being the smartest or having the most money. So often, it's just about being the person who refused to quit when quitting was the only logical thing to do. Your ability to keep pushing through that phase of irrationality, that is your ultimate competitive advantage. Okay, theory is great, but let's make this practical. How do you actually start doing this day in and day out? Here is a super simple routine you can start literally today to begin rewiring your brain for courage. First, you have to burn this into your mind. The only cure for doubt is action. Let me say that again. The only cure for doubt is action. You cannot think your way into confidence. You can't journal your way out of fear. You have to act your way out of it.
Action is the only antidote. So here is your new daily mission, your daily rewiring exercise. Every single day, just follow these 4 simple steps. 1. Identify one small thing that scares you. 2. Take one tiny, manageable action towards it. 3. Feel the fear bubble up, acknowledge it, and then do it anyway. And 4. Repeat. Every time you push forward when that survival brain is screaming, stop, you are literally building a new neural pathway. You're teaching your brain, little by little, that you are in charge, not your fear.
And this is how you make it real. It's a perfect, practical plan. Let's just break this down. So the doubt in your head says, I'm not ready to post that video. Your counteraction? Forget the whole video. Just post a 15-second clip. The fear is, oh man, I'm afraid to send that really important email. The action? Just send it to one person to start. The doubt says, I can't take that big shot. Okay, fine. Just practice the shot for 5 minutes. See what we're doing? We're turning this overwhelming fear into a simple, almost trivial, manageable task.
So I guess I just have one question for you. Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting for permission from other people, for validation from the outside world, before you decide that your own dream is worth chasing? The only person whose permission you ever need is your own. So here's the bottom line. Be delusional enough to start before you have any idea how it's all going to end. Have that crazy, unwavering faith in yourself, and then you put in the obsessive work until everyone else looks back at what you've built and has no choice but to call it genius. The gap between delusion and genius, it's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of action.